The fate of our night is going to depend on one game. Let's get it, man. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I'm so fresh like the morning. Mouth wide open like they yawning. Every time they see me, they in G-Stride. Homie, this is too far. Homie, I feel too alive. You can see me like Illuminati. You can see me like Illuminati. But I'm trying to...
What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to The Closing Line. My name is Troy Torrance, and I host this show every Tuesday and Thursday. I missed this Tuesday, but I'm back for a massive bet that I have today. And I'm very excited to talk about it because it's a very interesting market. We got a few that are just like that. Now, the last hour and a half I spent in my car grinding to try to get back to do this show on time. I was 10 minutes late. I apologize, but you're going to have to give me a second to get caught up. Let me get the chat going up here. Let me refresh all of my tabs and get this fully prepared. We got plenty of time today. We don't have a full slate. We got a half a slate to work with. The early slate was pretty decent to me. I mean, it was really only on the Phillies. And if you've been following me for long enough, you know I was on the Phillies today already. So hopefully everyone was betting up the Phillies, and I got them paired with two teams tonight. So it's going to be very important we come through. What's going on, chat? Here we go. We got the chat going. We got some of our tabs refreshed. We got to be fully baked here because there's some first five markets too. I want to be prepared to talk about because I feel like there's a ton of implications on what we're seeing in this full first five market today because there's a lot of good, interesting handicaps on starting pitchers, which I feel like is going to leave us with some value. And I'm still considering some bets. The Giants are up 12-6. Since when does the San Francisco Giants score 12 runs in a game? I'm shocked. Anytime I see the Giants score over 3 runs, I'm like, wow, they really hit the ball today. Okay, we got the first five up. We got the total markets full game here. All right. Here we go. Now we got everything ready to go. Uncle Eddie, Mark, man, UNLV, MV1 Barry, welcome. Welcome. Number 60 on the bulk button, Troy Chat. Yeah, come on, man. Let's get them likes up. I really appreciate all the love and support. I know a lot of these. Colin Gregory, of course. Tanner Goated, welcome. Swiggy, my guy. All right. Let's get to this handicap. Actually, before we talk about today's handicap, because like I said, we do have some time. Last week, Thursday, I finished with exactly +0 units. I finished flat. I didn't lose big. It's just crazy to have finished flat. And it's because of that Rangers first five money line at -150 that got destroyed, which I had 2 units on. That was really the thorn in my side. That brought me back to neutral there. But Blue Jays, team total under 4.5 for 2 units. That was a massive bet. That was my favorite bet on the card. If you remember, I was harping on that team total under. That won. So did the Orioles. So did the Spurs, -2.5. Now, the problem is the Cubs, Pirates under 7.5 last Thursday. I don't know if you remember that. 3 unearned runs, both teams with a sub 190 expected batting average. Fell a little slighted there. We finished flat. So we finished May down 5.21 units. We finished April up 19.06 units. I couldn't have a losing show in April. So now we have a brand new start with June. Right now in the closing line, Tuesdays, Thursdays, we're up 13.31 units. And we're going to have a big swing today, to say the least. So with that being said, what's up, Glove? Welcome to the chat, bro. Welcome to the chat, Walla Walla. What's up, Troy? Yeah, I appreciate you guys. I want to hear plays in the chat. Call me crazy. Agree with me. I don't care. I want to know where you guys are at. Very interested because I love tracking my action throughout the night and be like, oh, I know Glove was on that. You know, congrats, Glove. Or if I lose a bet that Glove was on, or if I lose a bet that Mark was on, Mark A-Man, Swiggy, anybody, at least it lightens the blow a little bit because I think I'm going to be on the opposite side of one game, and I'm going to be heavily opinionated on that. So with that being said, I think I'm finally settled in over here. First game up, we got the Braves and the Blue Jays, and this was a very interesting market because I saw it open yesterday at -186, and at that time it got bet up to -199, and that's when I immediately grabbed it because I started putting it in the profile, got the CLV grab analysis, and I seen that they were winning well over 67% of the time in pretty much any closing market above -200. And then I looked at the pitching matchup and I figured it would continue to move. Now this is showing a move of 2.8 up to 218. I'm seeing a much bigger move than that. I don't know what book. If we change the book, this line's all the way up to minus 261. So we're seeing a massive monumental move. And I don't know if it was because of the ambiguity with the pitching matchup, but he was in the matchup. What's his first name? Is it Chad Dallas? Oh no, it's Dallas. Last name Dallas, which I'll be looking forward to talk about. But it's not surprised to see everybody piling in on Atlanta. I seen that coming last night, and that only made me more bullish because I knew this line was going to move. Now, typically, his name is Chad Dallas. It's Chad Dallas. Okay, good. So I had that right. So I have like 5 different profiles here for this game because, at first it was at minus 200. So I profiled between minus 220, minus 180, then minus 240. So I kept up in my range, and now we're off the charts here. We're basically profiling between minus 285, minus 245, and that's a really good sign because the bigger this line moves in this price range, the more the home team wins the game, the more they cover the run line. Now, if we start looking at when the line opened between minus 205 and minus 165, so that, we're talking about a 50+ cent move here. We're talking about a 9-1 straight up, very small samples. But when it does happen, home team's 9-1, 7-3 on the run line, 6-2 to the over. The general profile in this market goes under. However, with this massive move, it tells us one thing. It tells us the home team is going to score runs, and the home team is winning by 4 runs, 3.8 runs on average. Let's round it up, call it 4. I wouldn't be opposed to the run line at this point, but I was betting the money line at minus 199. I got it parlayed with the Phillies money line, which already had cash +1, so I got plus 130 on that, and I got it with the Cubs money line too. So if you're still looking for a money line parlay piece, the Cubs are a good option with that, and I'll talk about why that is pretty soon. So yeah, I don't know if this line moved too much. See, a lot of people, and this is where I would argue till I was blue in the face with a lot of people and a lot of the old heads. We talk about tribal knowledge in the sports betting space because it's been this way at one point, so it must always be this way. Or it was this way for 20 years, so it must always be this way. Correct? I feel like I'm trying to change the game a little bit and say no. All we're doing is getting value, even if you're taking a worse number. Sure, you're going to lose less when you lose, but that doesn't make it a losing bet. If you're betting something that's plus EV, like if you're betting something with a 1% edge, I take that bet every single time. Now, some of these plays, there's a much bigger edge, but yeah, 1% is all I need to make a move because I know. And if you follow me on X, you've seen me get backed off blackjack tables. You've seen me get limited by sportsbooks, and that's why, because a 1% edge is all you need. So you need to be pretty good at hiding it, because sports betting is a means to an end. If you're that good, you're going to get stopped. And hopefully that's not us. We got to keep it low key or lose, which I have been doing this MLB season, but I've made a massive comeback. All right, here we go. Next game up. Doesn't look like we got a lot of action. Atlanta first 5, Dodgers first 5. I could see that first 5. Ryan Nelson. You might be able to talk me into a side on that, but I was looking at the total. In that game. And I think you'd be interested at my findings in the database. And I'll reprofile that one live too, because we're seeing that market move to the under pretty heavily in that Dodgers game, which changes the dynamic, the complexion of that market. Next game up, we got the Twins and the Royals, and this is a game where I really don't have much to say. 51% of bets, 57% of cash on the Twins. I was shocked to see that on Action Network. 51% of bets, 57% of cash on the Twins on Paredes. I guess Odds Logic got 58% of bets, 56% of cash on the Royals, and that's not very, very. How could you be confident about that bet, that side? Royals open minus 118. Are they still currently minus 118? I mean, this is basically moved between 3 cents in either direction throughout the day. So very, very tight market, and I'm not surprised to see that in this range because every cent that moves in this range is way more material than it is when it's moving at minus 200, right? The percentage move is significantly bigger in this range, and it has a massive impact on your expected return on your investment. So that's definitely keep that in mind. A 5 cent move is somewhere in the approximation of a 15 to 20 cent move in this price range. So the Twins and the Royals, and this is where I should be betting the Minnesota Twins. This is a market I talked about multiple times. I brought up graphics. We've hammered it. We've won with it. We've lost with it, but we've definitely won more than we've lost with this market. And it's when a home team opens and closes between minus 110 and plus 110. But in division, especially, like we're talking about divisional matchups in that range, I mean, you're just looking at ridiculous ROI over the past 3 years. Very tight market, and you can see why. Look at this. Who wants to bet Paredes or a bullpen start? You're going to get 3-4 innings out of Paredes, maybe. But who wants to bet on that when you're the Minnesota Twins today? Now, you could tell me that a lot of people want to bet on that because you're betting against the Royals. That would make sense to me. But it doesn't make sense based on the cash flow. So it's a little tricky of a spot. 9 Legacy, welcome, baby. Oh, Blue Jays, Twinkies money line. Jeez. He's swinging for the fences right there. What's that? +600? I don't do parlays very often, especially of that nature. The Blue Jays money line, you're talking about a +210. He's got a little, I guess in the NFL, I feel way more confident doing that. I feel way more confident. So it was Bailey Ober. I have a whole handicap on Bailey Ober. Then we got the shift to Paredes, basically a bullpen game. And Paredes only has one appearance in his MLB career. It was in Pittsburgh on Sunday, I believe. And he came in, pitched the 5th to 8th inning. So, I mean, it's not really a very corollary spot because they were down 7-0, right? I mean, in one inning, he's got a starter for him. He's going to get, he's going to come in the 2nd inning, pitch to the 4th, 5th inning. And that's what we should expect out of him. And I don't know what to make of what we've seen in that first start. He was absolutely terrible out of the gate. Like, it was the first inning, all the damage came against him. And then he settled in and looked pretty comfortable. And he's a pretty straightforward pitcher. I mean, he's got a fastball, a changeup, and a sweeper. He throws a 93-mile-an-hour fastball. It's really hard to forecast a pitcher like this, especially against the Royals, who haven't been able to touch right-handed pitching. They're 26th over the last month. They're 25th on the season. So that's exactly where they are. I mean, they're a below-average lineup. I mean, you can't argue against it at this point. At one point, I was trying to make a case that we'd see upward progression for this from the Royals offense. We haven't seen it. The Royals got the pitching advantage, you'd imagine, with Seth Lugo. And I remember falling subject to this just when I first started handicapping baseball on more than just numbers, right? Because initially it was just focusing on the numbers. Then I started, blending in the handicap of the game. And Seth Lugo's pitched over his xERA. I remember falling subject to this trap where I'd be like, Seth Lugo, this guy he's due to regress, right? Look at his xERA. It's north of 5. It's a 4.98. His actual ERA is 3.55. We expect a regression. He's supposed to be a below average pitcher, and we're going to see that come to fruition. But it never does. Go look at Seth Lugo. He does this every single year. Somehow he gets out of jams, and it's because he's got 7-8 pitches, 7 of them with at least 10% or more usage. So he's this is the epitome. We got a couple of them on the mound today. The crafty vet, and the pitches range from a fastball to a slurve. I mean, everything in between, all the variations of the breaking pitch, the changeup, the 2 different fastballs with the sinker and the four seam. Very interesting pitcher with Seth Lugo. So I would say the starting pitching matchup is really tough to read mostly because we don't know what we're going to get from Paredes. And I know Seth Lugo, he has a propensity to get blown up, but he could pitch a great start any given day. Now he's up against a much more difficult lineup, and I'm just shocked. I look at this price, -118, and it just seems way too cheap for Seth Lugo. And I'm talking relative to the broader psychology across the market. People are going to open their sports books. They're going to want to bet Seth Lugo in today's matchup. The Twins stay home too, right? We're getting travel situation out of the Royals. Twins stay at home. This market has been pretty stagnant. I mean, this to me is telling me I probably should be betting the Minnesota Twins. So why don't I get to business and go to bat with my database? I'm going to be betting the Minnesota Twins. I'm going to be betting it. I just got to get this bet off right now. So for ease of I'll just take what's at Bet Online right now. What do we got? -102. Give me a Twins -102. No problem. I like it. I think there's value on this play based on the market history. And I think that we should be making this bet, this market type, pretty much every time. Blue Jays money line, Twinkies money line. So I'm with you on the Twins, but come on, 9 Legacy. Come on, man. Save me with those Blue Jays. Can't have that today. Can't have no Blue Jays. But if they do, it'll lighten the blow for me. I'll be like 9 Legacy cash. Hopefully those Twins get you, though. Because if I lose my straights on the Braves paying -200, and you lose your parlay with the Twinkies, then I go 0 for 2. You lose the parlay. That'd be disaster. 9 Legacy. But I'll be thinking about you tonight. That's for sure. Rob McMahon, hell yeah, Troy. Twins. Let's go, Rob. I love to hear it. I think it's the right play. I just had to get there. I really had to just talk it out. Once I heard what I was saying again, I mean, it's clear as day. This is why you bet these short home favorites. Barely any line movement at all. It's a perfect situation. And now we get into my favorite bet on this on the board. So we're going to talk about the Cubs and the Athletics. So we got 76% of bets, 42% of cash on the Cubs. Let's see if this cash flow has changed, because I haven't updated this aspect of it, because it really hasn't mattered. Yeah, we're looking at 71% of bets, 72% of cash on Action Network that are coming in on the Chicago Cubs, and 58%, 60% are coming on the Cubs per odds logic on the live the live odds screen. And some books have a small move towards Chicago. Let's see if this still stands true. I believe it does. I was checking it like an hour ago before I left to get on this show. But yeah, we're seeing anywhere. Oh, now we're seeing us move back towards the Chicago Cubs on the full game market. And let me come on. We got to refresh this. Is this moving right now in front of my very eyes? So BetOnline basically has this back at where it opened. It was down. So yeah, there has been a 10-cent move as of recent. Bovada, this line starting to crash. Let's see what Circa's doing with this line, just because you always got to reference Circa. It used to be Pinnacle. The Cubs opened minus 147. It got down to minus 134. And over the very last 15, 20 minutes, we've seen this shoot back up to minus 147, which is a beautiful thing. Now, it kind of ruins part of it, because I love that we had a first five discrepancy. We had the first five line moving towards the Chicago Cubs. We had the full game line pretty clearly. It was pretty stagnant, but if anything, there was a little bit of a move towards the Athletics. Now we're starting to see basically everywhere this first five line is moving and crashing. And that's good, because, I bet both the first five and the full game with the Chicago Cubs, because I always do in this market. The Cubs as home favorites with the total over 8.5 are 37-11 straight up, 77% over the past few seasons. They're 29-19 on the run line. That's 60% on the run line. At home with a total greater than 8.5. Now, the higher that total climbs, the more successful the Chicago Cubs have been over since 2023. This is a market I could blindly back for multiple units, but even in a case like this, where the market is clearly speaking to us, telling us to bet Shota Imanaga all day. I mean, we've seen this line pretty consistently showing a move towards JT Ginn and the Athletics, right? And the Cubs, think about their form, their current form. Think about Shota Imanaga, his form over the last few starts. And what do you see? You start to see the bookies telling a story, opening their arms towards the Athletics. And why is that? Because anybody could look at Shota and look at his last few starts. And I mean, this is a very easy fade of Shota Imanaga, right? He gives up fly balls. It's a very high total. Then tell me why the first five line has moved 15 cents in his direction, especially considering the form the Chicago Cubs have been in over the past few weeks, almost a month now. They've been terrible. I mean, Shota, okay, so he has a 107 whip, a 437 ERA, and a 374 xERA. So his xERA suggests favorable regression. But to me, I mean, maybe that's what we see with the bookie setting this price, but I think it's telling me something different with this high total. I think it's, and just to touch on Shota a little bit, his K rate at one point was way up over 30%. Now it's just 24%. Still up year over year, but not great. His splitter usage, this is pretty confusing to me. I don't know if it was matchup based, but at one point he increased his splitter usage by over 10% year over year. Now it's just 4%. So that's just over the past five starts. We've seen that come back massively. And he was seeing massive improvements on his ground ball percentage. Now we see that come back into some regression there as well. Still way better than he was last year, but now we've seen regression. And he's given up 5, 7, and 8 runs in his last 3 starts respectively. So just to know that he's given up 5, 7, and 8 his last 3 starts, and his xERA is 374, that tells me that there is going to be some regression for Shota. And hopefully it's because he starts increasing the usage of his splitter again, because obviously a lot of his success was tied to that pitch. The Athletics had been hitting lefties, right? They're 9th over the last month, 19th on the season. I think they're somewhere in between that, maybe a little bit above average versus left-handed pitching. But I think the reason this total's so high, other than the wind, and there's always factors. You could have 2 great pitchers on the mound in Wrigley and have a 10 total. All you need is a little bit of wind blowing out, because that ball starts carrying. But I think it's because JT Ginn is vulnerable. And now, if you know my go back and look at all my handicaps on any Athletics game when JT Ginn is on the mound. It's a pitcher that I've characterized this bet on over the course of this season. He struggles with left-handed bats, right? His whip increases from sub 1 to 1.44. His batting average increases by 60 points. His OPS increases by 200 points for his left-handed hitters. And I think that's what the Chicago Cubs want to face. I mean, I know the Cubs were mashing left-handed pitching at some point this season, but I think we're going to see them actually thrive against right-handed pitching pretty consistently. Think about the bats that we want to have that are going to find success against a right-handed pitcher. It's all the bats that are super important. I don't really believe favoring Bregman and Suzuki at this point, especially in their current form, is the right way to go. We want Happ from the left side of the plate. We want Pete Crow Armstrong, who's the best player on the Chicago Cubs at the moment. And I think he will be the best player on the Cubs for the next 10, 15 years. He's batting from the left-hand side of the plate. Bush, our second best bat in the lineup, is batting from the left-hand side of the plate. You get bats like Ballesteros. We don't want to favor Suzuki, Bregman, and, Dansby Swanson so that we like the right-hand pitcher on the mound. And JT Ginn is coming off a great start, and he's had a great season. He's got his xERA is actually worse than Shota, 390, but he's got a 287 ERA, a 114 whip. He's a bet-on pitcher. But I like the matchup for the Chicago Cubs. And he's been lights out on the road, too. You look at JT Ginn, you're like, that makes sense. He pitches at home in Sacramento. But, he's been lights out on the road. So it makes sense, right? But the Padres, the Angels, Philly, their bats have been really struggling. The Rangers, Seattle, like the Mets, the Blue Jays, I don't know. I feel like you could pick wherever you want where the Cubs fall into form in that equation. But I believe that this total of 10 is telling me that JT Ginn is vulnerable, especially looking at the line movement. Cubs remain at home, and that's exactly where you want to bet on the Chicago Cubs at home. Like they're not going to be traveling after this. They're just going to be focusing on not getting swept by the Sacramento Athletics. The Athletics, after this game, they traveled to Houston to play a divisional series in a very tight race right there in that division. Where's their focus going to be? Cubs at home, facing the sweep. In a great market. You got Shota, who's going to have favorable regression. You got JT Ginn, who I think is going to experience negative regression with a very telling market. This is definitely a buy low on Shota and the Cubs, a sell high in Ginn and the Athletics. I've hammered the Cubs money line. You got to stay within your bounds of your limits of your bankroll. If it's 5%, if it's 6%, but I'm max betting the Chicago Cubs between the first 5 money line and the full game money line. And then we got them paired with the Phillies and the Braves for plus 169 and plus 160. I'm going to be living and dying with the Chicago Cubs, which is my baseball team. I guess that's a disclaimer I should have started with. What do we got here? Phillies -1. Dougie Wise cashing with the Phillies. That's great to see. Colin Gregg, I'm on the A's team total over 4.5. I can't blame you for that. I mean, it's pretty easy to understand why that could be. With Shota's recent form, this total sitting extremely high in Chicago. And actually, let's see what that total looks like in Chicago. I'm pulling up the database live real quick. Let me get this filtered down to the Cubs in Wrigley. Let me get this filtered down to when the total's greater than 9. Let's see what this over and under trend looks like. And it's 21 and 12 to the over just with that filter. Now let's see if we go out of conference in that filter. 9 and 4 to the over. Have we seen any movement on this total? We have. This has been moving towards the over. Open 9.5. It's up to 10.5, and that's 5 and 1 to the over out of conference. High total. 12 and 3 to the over if you remove the conference filter. I think the over makes a ton of sense, but the over is 12 and 3 at 80%. The home team money line is 13 and 2. So, I mean, you're splitting hairs now. That's a small sample. But like I was pointing out, I mean, we just look at 37 and 11 Cubs at home as favorites with a total greater than 8.5. 37-11. 29 and 19 on the run line, winning by 2 runs or more. Cubs can win 7-5. That's fine. Let's go, Colin. Let's both cash this. I hope the Cubs put up 15 runs today. And I hope the Athletics are pitching like, Lawrence Butler or something by the end of this game. All right. So that's what I have to say about the Chicago Cubs today. As if I'm not biased, but I'm telling you, this is a market. You got to bet it. You got to bet the Cubs. Astros versus the Pirates, and this is one I find fascinating, to be honest. And I'm going to re-pull this cash flow real quick because I do find it interesting where the cash flow is. And now you could use it or not use it. I use it in my database sparingly. I have it for every single game. Now, the problem is, like, You just want to do it when there's an outlier where you could really see, like, this is actually a pretty good example because we're looking at the Houston Astros as a short home favorite, right? They're minus 114. They're favorites by a margin, very small. But we're seeing 63% of bets and 89% of cash on Houston. And they're very small favorites. So it's a very affordable price to bet the Astros with all that cash coming in on them. You look at, let's see what they're doing at Odds Logic, the live odds screen. We're seeing 73% of bets, 71% of cash coming in on the Astros. So we're seeing all this money coming in on the Astros. And the bookies are seemingly opening their arms, welcoming all that action to come on in. Because, yeah, I mean, I guess Bet Online shows a 6-cent move, and we're seeing 10-cent move, but it's just, this is not a big enough move towards the Houston Astros. I mean, DraftKings, I would measure this as a 2-cent move in my database. And it's very interesting to me that the Astros are cheaper on some of these sites. That's not the best sign, to be honest, because I'm looking towards the Pirates in this spot. I think I can make a very good case for them, especially with this market. As long as this move stays less than 10 cents, you'll be looking at nothing but favorable move, or a favorable market environment to bet on the Pirates, to bet on the road team in this spot, especially with all this action coming on Houston. It builds a beautiful profile. And I wish this was a game I wish I had a graphic ready to show with the cash flow and how that influences the line movement and the profile itself. Jared Jones, top set. What's going on? It's a fade Jones, I imagine. I know that's what it makes sense. Top set. I just don't know if I could get behind it. I don't know if I can get behind it. Jared Jones is being priced very competitively with Kai-Wei Tang. Jared Jones came out. He has a 2.0 whip through 4 innings of work and a 10.38 ERA. Only one start, is 7 hits, 5 earned runs, two home runs. This is a guy in 2024 who was an above average pitcher. As a rookie, he was above average. Like, there was high expectations for him. And I watched him pitch. I didn't watch him pitch this first game, but I remember watching Jared Jones pitch like, wow, the Pirates are crazy to have given this guy up. However, based on this price and how he's priced on the road versus Kai-Wei Tang, it's hard to say that the bookies aren't telling us that he's going to return to form. His fastball velo also, I think this is to correlate with this price range. His fastball velo is up from 97 to 99. So he took a year off of baseball, and he came back and was throwing 2 miles an hour harder. Now, this is only through 4.1 innings of work, but I'm imagining he's pretty fresh after a year off. His breaking pitches, though, if you click on some of those pitches and watch those pitches from the first start, you could tell that they were not they weren't breaking very much. I mean, there's a few that just got hung right over the plate. There's a few where the count got out of hand, so he just served one up, a fastball right down the middle. I think Jared Jones, will be fine. And I think the price of this game relative to the matchup itself is telling me that the Pirates are the side to be betting here. Colin, I'm sorry. When it's a small slate like this, there's a lot of time for what Jimmy the Bag will call fantasizing over some of these spots. That might be what I'm doing in this situation with Jared Jones. But his fastball velo's up. He's being priced very competitively on the road against Kai-Wei Tang. We know the Pirates are way better at home. They just took a devastating loss yesterday, too. That was a crazy game yesterday. Somehow the Astros pulled it out down big. They win an 11-9 shootout against Paul Skeens. I'm going to come back to that. I want to talk about that game. Let me finish with Kai-Wei Tang. And he's been a dog since transitioning to a starter. He's had 3 starts against Milwaukee, the Cubs, and as I'm talking about this now, I'm starting to think maybe the under's the play, but let's get to it. 3 starts against the Cubs, the Brewers, and the Rangers. So the Cubs were in bad form. The Rangers were in bad form. Milwaukee was in great form. So it's a very hard read there. There's a little bit of a mixed bag, a very polarized range of opponents. 16 innings, 7 hits, 11 walks, 2 earned runs. I looked at 16 innings and 7 hits. I was like, wow, he balled out, but he had 11 walks. And I remember watching him pitch against the Cubs, posted 4 walks. Walks are going to be clearly an issue. He gives up significantly higher OB, opponent batting average, opponent, slugging percentage, whip against left-handed pitchers. And the Pirates are kind of left-handed dominant if you think about the bats that actually manufacture offense in their lineup. So it just reminds me. I started thinking about these pitchers, these relief pitchers who transition to the starting role. And now Griffin Jax might be different because Griffin Jax was in the bullpen for some odd years, whereas Kai-Wei Tang's a little bit, just a different story. I don't know to what extent, to be honest. But, I faded Griffin Jacks 2 times in a row successfully. And it was because his fastball usage and his sequencing after 2 to 3 innings, he completely lost it. And it was visible every time I watched him. So I faded him 2 times successfully in a row. And I could see this happening to Tang, who relies on a sweeper as his first offering, right? At 36% sweeper, followed by a 25% fastball usage. And it's not surprised. Like, you look at his innings, look at the splits by inning. First inning, 0.80 whip. Second inning, 1.40 whip. Third inning, 1.0 whip. Then we get to the fourth and fifth, 2.33 and 1.75 respectively. 5 of his what do I got here? Over 75% of his earned runs came in the fourth and fifth inning. That tells me that he's not going to give you a long start here. I mean, you're not going to get 6-7 innings out of Tang. And if you do, you're just going to have to tip your cap to him. So I was waiting for market confirmation to make a bet on this on the Pirates in this game, but I'm going to actually pull the profile live just because I was racing back. I didn't have time to really put together the closing market profile for this game. So let me actually get that right now. This opened minus 120, minus 105. Kind of total we got. We got that middling total, and we got a very small line move in this spot. This is the first time I've ever been live profiling a game. Let's say between plus or minus 5 cents. The home team, 55%. Let's get out of division because we know that's where the divisional teams thrive. Now we're talking about 53% out of conference. So, and that's the thing is like, I don't know. This is right on break even. This is pretty much right on break even. This is hovering between 50 and 55% in favor of the home team in the current market history. So actually now we got to throw on, look at this. Look what I'm seeing right now. The last profile I filtered to, we're looking at non-conference. Let's actually open this up now. Sharp action, 37 and 58 in this profile. So if you have the sharp action, let's say over 50% of bets of cash and the bigger bets on the home team. Now you're looking at the road team money line, 18 and 13, 58%. And that's just non-conference, very small line move. I do believe that the Pirates should be heavily considered here. And I'm going to be moving on it right now. I'm going to be moving on this right now. I didn't have time to put this profile together at the close. And we can get a decent line right now on Pittsburgh minus 102. Pirates minus 102 is making my card. All right, let me just get this in. Sorry, guys. It's all right. We got plenty of time left with only a few games. So I got the Twins and the Pirates money line at minus 102 live here. But still, the night is going to heavily depend on the Chicago Cubs. Dabby Cab, what's going on here, man? What's going on? Thank you for joining, showing some love. Troy, your with markets was gold during the football season, but following your work since. Thank you. It's been a real struggle, to be honest, in the beginning of this MLB season. There's multiple reasons why I fell into a pit. Some of that was the cash cow having some regression early in the season. Some of that was the Yankees, where I was down 30 units betting Yankee games. But all's well that ends well. We're right back there pushing up against break even. From minus 6% ROI to minus 1% ROI, we're moving in the right direction. And that's after, 2 years of 48 units, 58 units, and plus 10 units respectively. So hopefully let's get back in the black before All-Star break, and then let's run it up like we know we can. All right, let's get it. Last game up on the MLB slate is Dodgers D-backs. Now, I agree with Jimmy. I'm going to be doing I got to do an analysis on this too, because we're watching this total drop. And I'm pretty shocked to see it open at 9.5 too. I don't know if the stadium's open. I don't know what's going on to have this line open at 9.5. It might be Ryan Nelson. I don't know, because that's what it is. It's Ryan Nelson, who can be a gas can from time to time. You got Roblaski, the lefty, against the Arizona Diamondback lineup, which we know crushes lefties for whatever reason. I thought they would be better versus right-handed pitching. I guess that's not the case. They're just like the Cleveland Guardians, left-handed lineup that hits left-handed pitching. I'm not saying that the Diamondbacks are all left-handed like the Guardians, but it just reminds me of that. 80% of bets, we're looking at all the cash in the bets coming in on the Dodgers. There's no surprise here. And this is the market in division where we just see total, trends towards the under. Now, this line moved from 149 to 137. Is it down a little bit further now? It's back at minus 143. Like, basically, every time I check this, I feel like the Dodgers open minus 149. And I'm looking at the live line again. minus 144. We're looking at a 5-cent move ish towards the Dodgers. Now you could find, different books, different things, but that's what I'd be plugging into my database. But I'm more interested in the total anyway, because divisional home teams that close between plus 100 and plus 140, that's the range I'm using here, with a total between 9 and 9.5 in division, 37 and 19 to the under, 66% to the under. If the market moves towards the home team, which it has here, 5 cents, 16 and 7 to the under, that's 70% to the under. Now, I know it's not big samples because I'm isolating divisional games, and I believe that this is a great spot to bet the under in theory. But the problem is the line ticking down towards the under definitely changes the complexion of the profile. And I think what that tells me is when the opening line was more important than the movement itself, because we saw the 9.5 down to a 9. Honestly, now I'm seeing 9's juice to the under. We might see 8.5 start to pop in this matchup. And I think that the opening line is more telling. Now, I'm going to work on pulling this profile together, why I kind of handicapped this game on Ryan Nelson, who, he's kind of pitching to his expected numbers. If I remember correctly, his expected ERA is around a 5. And I think he's pitching to that almost exactly. He's coming off a road start in Seattle where he's kind of gotten beaten up. And we know this guy he's been struggling a lot this season after some good seasons. I mean, honestly, this is profiling as his worst season. And he's been worse at home, too. He's got a 3.74 ERA on the road, 5.97 ERA at home. He's got a 2.68 opponent batting average on the road, or at home. On the road, he's 0.197. So he's been much better on the road. And that wasn't the same for him last year. But Nelson has been great against this lineup, and a big sample, too. 98 at bats, 194 batting average, 630 against this very dangerous Dodgers lineup. But that might be the old Ryan Nelson. The 2026 version of Ryan Nelson has been the worst of his career, and this season against the Dodgers, right? He's had this long sample of really good history against the Dodgers. This season, he has 1 start, 4.2 innings, 2 hits, only 2 hits, but both of them were home runs. So Ryan Nelson is a very volatile pitcher. We've seen him go 6 innings against quality lineup, give 0 runs or 1 run. We've seen him get shelled by Toronto, who can't hit anybody. He get absolutely shelled and embarrassed. Gets 1 out, gives up 8 runs, and gets pulled out of the game in the first inning. So he's a very polarizing pitcher. And then you got Justin Robleski. We know the Diamondbacks are one of the best lineups in baseball against left-handed pitching. They're second on the season. They're 8th over the last month. And I like Robleski. I like him. He's got a 3.85 xERA, 2.87 actual, 1.01 whip. His last outing, he shut down Philly, who's, it's not very impressive to me right now based on the Philly offense. He's basically a 2-pitch pitcher, but he's one of those pitches is pretty damn nasty, right? He throws the slider 33% of the time, which really is the way he leads, in my opinion. He throws the slider early in counts. He throws the fastball late in counts, and you can tell the put away, right? The put away pitch is his fastball. So he's getting him off balance with the slider early in the counts. Then he hits him where it hurts with the fastball. I kind of like how he operates. Now, regression is probably coming for him too, though, because his xERA is 1 run higher. His K rate's only 16%. His hard hit rate is higher than the league average. Like at some point, you'd imagine that he's going to get touched up. So maybe that's what I don't know. This is a very tricky market to deal with. And it's not like this is happening in any game where this total's plummeting. It's happening in a Dodgers game, in a divisional game at that, which makes it a little bit tricky. All right. Oh, yeah. Last few notes on this Dodgers D-backs game. And before I actually pull the profile together, which I should just do right now, let's get to work here. Let's look at what happens when a total closes at 9 or 8.5, between 9 and 8.5, and opens at 9 or 9.5 with a move to the under. That's what I want to know. And then we'll layer in this, the opening line. See, home team's just in this. Now, the average line is minus 113, but the home team is 70 and 46 in this market profile, 70 and 46 with an average line of minus 113. The under is 44%, but that's what I want to see now. Let's see what happens when the home team is priced between 110 and 130, which puts us right in the middle. Now, yeah, we're talking this. It's probably an underspot. It's probably an underspot, to be honest. It's a small sample. It's really tricky to deal with these small samples. So I'm going to have to be sitting with this game a little bit longer because I think the bet might be on the Diamondbacks. If we see this close with a move towards the Diamondbacks, that's probably the way I'd play this game. I'd play the Diamondbacks. Yeah. Yeah, it'd be tricky market, really tricky market. All right, I can't even give you a lean in that spot right now just because it's so volatile. It's so volatile with that total filter that I would have to spend more time on it. What are you thinking, Colin? Close to better Dodgers team total over 4.5. They seem to be getting going. Kyle Tucker hit a homer last night. Yeah, I do believe their offenses looked night and day better from where they were a month ago at this point. And with the lines moving towards the home team, it's a tricky lines flying towards the under. Like that's one. If I had the Dodgers team total over, I don't know if I'd be okay with it if I lost. Like I'd hold it against myself and I would linger. I would let that linger. I wouldn't be able to be a goldfish and just let it go. Have a short memory. That one would linger for sure. If I lost that one. Arizona plus a half versus 5 minus 140. Dougie, I like that look. Ryan Nelson, we know he can't put together a quality outing. We know that the Diamondbacks hit left-handed pitching. We know that this line is moving towards the Diamondbacks. We know all the action's coming on the Dodgers. And what's this first 5 line doing, Doug? What is this first 5 line doing? Let me check it out. We're seeing a much bigger move towards the home team on some books. Even Bovada's moved this 5 cents towards the D-backs. So, and then, wow, my bookie's got this. There's some big moves here on the first 5 market. Dougie, that might be the way to play it. That might be the way to play it, man. But I would probably just be on the money line, honestly. I guess it depends on what I imagine the total. The total is just so tricky. It's just throwing me through a loop in that whole entire handicap. I'm going to be sitting with it, Dougie. That's the way I would lean right now. Arizona first 5 is probably the way I would play it. All right. Yeah, because the whole move parlayed with the move towards the under. It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense, Dougie. I like your action in that one. Last game up, we got the NHL, we got the Hurricanes, and we got the Golden Knights. And I did not bet game 1 of this series. So, although I'm very interested in today. 73% of bet, 76% of cash is coming in on the Canes. Look at Wager Talk, 64% of bet, 75% of cash is coming in on the Canes. We're seeing this line open minus 162, just like we're seeing right here, and it's been stagnant. We've seen the total open 5.5. It's juiced to the over, but it's been flat. It's not moving any direction. You look at the market history of this series. Hurricanes opened in game 1. They opened minus 155. They closed minus 162. And that was with 78% of bets, 52% of cash on the Canes, right? So that means the sharp action was on the Golden Knights in game 1. The line moved against the sharp action from minus 155 to minus 162. And the sharp action won, right? The Golden Knights got the win. The small 7-cent line move was not very telling, but now we open up back at minus 162 where we closed after the move, and it's stagnant. We're seeing the sharp conviction kind of coming in on the Hurricanes, 64% of bets, 75% of cash. I think that's telling us a story that, and hopefully we could see some line movement towards the Hurricanes, but I'm looking towards betting the Hurricanes in this spot. Carolina, they were shot out of a cannon in game 1. They come out, they get a 2-goal lead right off the bat. Eller scoring both of those goals, but then the Knights clap back, showing just resilience, just what they've done all playoffs long. Carolina is a perennial possession powerhouse. So as I started to look, the first thing I started looking at is, and I don't know how much turnovers in hockey matter, but the possession, time of possession, time spent in the offensive side of the zone, and they lead the NHL playoffs at least. And 5-on-5 shot attempts at 59%. They also lead at offensive zone possession time, which I find very interesting to see that. And I see their offense flourishing, but obviously, what do you sacrifice with that much offense and that much time spent down, in the offensive end is you lose defensive, emphasis, right? Because they've been struggling on the defensive end throughout the playoffs, especially at some points in time. And they struggled in the power play category now, and that didn't happen in game 1, but they did throughout the playoffs. I don't want to sleep on Vegas anymore. They're able to knock off the juggernaut of the NHL. They have plenty of experience with guys who've won the cup before. We've seen Vegas thrive on the road. And some teams, I don't know what it is about some teams. They just got that that dog in them, right? They capitalize on their opportunities. That's what a dog does. If you make a mistake, we capitalize. We beat you. So it just feels like to me the opening line is telling me, right? Game one, especially in the NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs, home teams in the finals off a game one loss, historically successful. We have line functionality with the opening at minus 162 after the opener last in game one, minus 152. And I also feel like we're going to see an under after a 9-goal output in game one. Both sides of the equation, both the Hurricanes and and Vegas, emphasizing defense. So I could totally see an under, and I'd probably pay the juice. I'd probably pay the juice and bet the money line on Carolina if I had to play this game. Anyone in chat on this hockey game? Probably not. No, probably no one's listening to me when it comes to NHL, and I don't blame you. But I did prepare for this one. I had some time on my flight back from Nashville yesterday, so I was like, let's pull up the Hurricanes. I'm gonna talk about this game. I want to get on, and I had a lot of the regional managers in my company. They were talking hockey, so I had to be prepared. All right. With that being said, we got 5 minutes left. We got the job done. I believe we're Canes or nothing. Haven't bet it. Yeah, it'd be Canes or nothing for me too, Colin. It'd be Canes or nothing for me too. I might bet this game, but I probably won't post it. Vegas on the money line, 9 legacy. I fuck with that, man. Honestly, like the dog in me, right? The dog in me wants to bet Vegas in this spot after watching what they did throughout the playoffs, just how tough they are. I think they have the better goaltender from what I've seen. Let's go, Dougie. Good luck. Good luck to everybody in chat today. I hope all you guys cash, except for anybody on the Athletics today. I hope you lose your bets. I'm sorry to say that, but if you do win your bets, and you'll know I lost my bets, but at least I'll know you have won. So one of us have won. It's just I hope you put more money down than I, because I absolutely unloaded. I backed up the damn truck on the Chicago Cubs today. But with that, that's going to wrap it up for Thursday, June 4th, 2026 for the closing line. Thank you to everybody for supporting me, whether you're riding with me, whether you're fading me, whether you've got your own handicap and you're just here to support me. I appreciate you. I really do. I'm Troy Torrance. You can find me on X. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday breaking it down. I hope to be here more as the time goes on. But Peter Loshak's here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every single week, bringing the goods. I've been grinding my ass off since 5 a.m. And I haven't been in this chair because I've been around and about, but I've been preparing for this show for 2 days. And I've absolutely hammered some of these spots. So let's go out there. Let's get that cash. Good capping. Good luck. And I'll see your ass next week.
It's easier to sleep in the black when you're losing your ass and feeling so. You know what to do. Tune in to Pop Sports Radio. Easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. It's a roller coaster ride, you're gonna catch a bad beat. No problem, keep your head up and just bet the spreadsheet. It's easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. All thanks to Jeff Slaughter, these shows have our backs. POD's always rolling, especially the stats. Easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. We got Jimmy, Jose, Dabby and the fam, Dutch wine time, Spooner and OG Wham. So hit the like button, don't say that you can't. If you know what's best, just put your money on tape.